This is episode 16 of Crown Crypto, and today we are going to force out hopefully what is a good episode. It is December 13th, Friday the 13th, and let's not lie, it's been 22 days of basically nothing. It really has been 22 days of pretty much sideways. So the good news is that probably can't last forever. So every day we're getting a little closer. Today we really only have a few things to talk about, but they're actually developing as of today some interesting things. Coinbase coming out with a tweet out of nowhere. They are listing OTX, Orchid. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a minute. No one's heard of Orchid. I challenge you. No one's heard of Orchid before the last 24 hours. I say this because I have not. And because the internet does not yield really any results for Orchid. They have a web page. I can pull that up. Screw that. I'm not going to pull up their web page. Essentially, Orchid is a coin that Coinbase has entered into deposit-only mode and will begin trading, I think, Monday. This is very weird. I've been a fan of Coinbase on and off, actually, for the last few years. There's been years where I've really supported them. I thought they were champions of crypto. And then there were years where I thought, like, you guys are just hardcore selling out. I don't really like you. And then back and forth. So what's weird to me is that this is the first occurrence. This is the first occurrence for Coinbase where they're doing something very strange. And I may be just being paranoid here. I may be over kind of analyzing what they're doing. But really, WTF is Orchid, man. No one's heard of it. I looked because I was like, hey, Coinbase is going to list this. I'm going to look into it. I'm going to see, like, where can I buy this? What exchange is it on? They're enabling deposits, so clearly I should be able to buy this coin and then deposit it onto Coinbase, right? That makes sense. I think we all can agree. No, there's nowhere. There's nowhere to have bought this coin. I don't believe that this coin actually really exists. That sounds crazy. No, I don't think that this coin is at all traded. And I don't believe it will have had any trading volume until Coinbase Trading goes live on it. And so that is very strange. Coinbase has never done this. This is not characteristic of any coin they have added ever. I know that, it is Coinbase, so I'm going to go ahead and say it's safe to assume that legally it's not I'm not saying this is my advice, because I don't know, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a legal professional, but if Coinbase is listing it, I'm going to assume as a client of Coinbase that it is not a security and that it is legally able to be traded in the US. Because that's what Coinbase has really focused on. It seems to be a priority of theirs. So as far as I'm concerned, the legal aspects of Orchid has to be tight. I doubt Coinbase is going to throw away whatever it is. I doubt Coinbase is going to throw away their business for Orchid. Whatever the hell this is. But seriously, it doesn't appear to be available for purchase anywhere. And so this is just red flags everywhere for me, man. This is something I've never seen from Coinbase. There's no blockchain history on this coin. There's no exchanges that offer, as far as I could find, and I did some digging, there's no exchanges I could find that offer this coin for sale or for trade or for anything. So is this like an ICO? I don't know. They seem to have a white paper. I glanced over it, but I'm not a technical guy. The only things I could really discern from it are Orchid is a coin that is, its use case is going to be a VPN. It's going to be a virtual private network. having to do with privacy, but the coin itself is not anonymous and it is not a privacy coin by any means. Their white paper very specifically states that. It says, like, there is no aspect of anonymity with the coin. There is no, through any of the stages or whatever transactions with the coin, it is totally probably just like Bitcoin. It is like pseudo-anonymous. Everything's a public ledger. And I'm assuming this. You know, there is not really much to go by. I looked at their white paper. I wish I had like a pro on my like payroll who could like tell me about these things. But for my breakdown, it is a coin that's use case is a VPN, which to me sounds weird. So it's like Coinbase is offering us a utility token, because it is an ERC20. I can get that much from it. A utility token for us to then go and trade on other exchanges behind a VPN and pretend we're from somewhere else. I don't know. It's very weird, man. Red flags are everywhere for me. This is a super weird scenario. I caution everyone that sees this video, and I know the average viewership of my video, so there's not going to be that many people who see this. But seriously, I caution anybody who sees this, be so careful. Do not FOMO into this coin. I need to do more research, but from what I can tell, it is a bandwidth use based. So basically you pay OTC to them to be VPN'd. So like to be behind some kind of curtain of privacy, based on how much bandwidth you use. There was something about like 10 OTC a month. So for me, as someone who doesn't know anything about this coin, but someone who doesn't, you know, I'd like to think I know something about crypto. I'm going to break down its valuation at, you know, we have VPNs, we have Nord, we have Pure, we have Express, we have many VPNs out there. I think the average cost of a virtual private network is maybe $1 to $2 a month. It's very low. It's a very affordable thing. I encourage everybody to get one. It's a matter of privacy. You should all worry about that. So let's say, I think it was 10 OTX per month. So does that value the coin, in my opinion, at about 10 cents a coin? I guess. I mean, that's all I can make up on the spot right here. We have only had a few hours to digest this. So this is very on the spot news, man. This is, this news is not even like 6 hours old. I can show you guys I can show you literally how I learned about this is because I follow pretty much all of the major exchanges, and for this reason, I suggest you all do the same, because how else do you learn about this? You know, it's just like, this is the only way to do it. So here we go. Coinbase, what is OXT? Literally, I cannot find it anywhere. This coin is not on CoinGecko. It is not on CMC. WTF Coinbase, are you drunk? That was my first reaction. 6 hours ago, our order books, whatever, blah, 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 we're accepting inbound transfers. Who is inbound transferring to Coinbase with this coin? Nobody. Like, to be honest, the only thing I can conclude from this is, like, Coinbase, did you really make a deal with some business to just dump on retail? Because who owns this coin? Who has it? No one's heard of it. No one can purchase it anywhere from as far as I've seen. I could not find an ICO. I could not find anything. So the people who own this coin are the creators of OXT. Really be careful. Be very careful with this coin. Do not FOMO in, and you guys know I say that about every coin. But this is kind of a super special circumstance where this coin doesn't even exist. And it's kind of just Coinbase being like, hey guys, maybe this is a real cool coin, VPN, buzzwords, and like, who controls the supply? I don't know. But I guarantee whoever controls the supply are the only people depositing it on Coinbase right now. Because as far as I know, and I checked their webpage out, I didn't see any way to buy this coin. So it seems like maybe Coinbase is setting people up to get dumped on. And I don't think that that's the first time, but this seems to be the really kind of only intentional time. The only time where it seems no one else controls any of the supply except for perhaps Orchid's, whatever, Orchid's devs, Orchid's CEOs. Be very careful. I personally don't know what it will start trading at, but if 10OTX is the amount for a month, and that could be wrong. That might have been like the deposit, so please don't take this as like financial advice either. But if 10OTX is like their per month kind of base cost, and NordVPN or Pure or whatever is like $1 a month, then I can't value that coin over 10 cents a coin. So in no world am I paying over 10 cents a coin for OTX. I doubt it even starts trading there. I think this is going to be a shit show. Personally, this is the biggest news in crypto for me right now because it's like cutting edge out of the news right now. I think we're going to see a grand old shit show. This is very weird. Fresco helped me with some of this math. Yes, Fresco, currently valued at 0 for me. I can pay for a VPN with dollars. And since Orchid is not a privacy coin, it's equally as private as me paying with dollars. I see no value in this. I do see a potential value for someone to run with this idea and make it a privacy coin, which is the point of the VPN, is privacy. I think there's probably potential there in the market. I just don't know what's going on. This is a first, in my opinion. This is a first listing for Coinbase. They have never listed something. No, they have never listed something with no coin history, no blockchain history, no other markets trading it. This is really weird. Please be careful, everybody. This is very weird. Who knows? I'm sure people will make money off of this, but I can already smell it that people are going to get burned. Certainly. So second on the list, Tezos. XTZ. Tezos. Coinbase seems to love to hog the news lately. They've enabled staking on Tezos on Coinbase, and it's an important distinction because I was confused at first. Not Coinbase Pro. You cannot have your Tezos on Coinbase Pro in limit orders or whatever. Your Tezos needs to be on Coinbase, which is a distinction. And not only does it need to be there, there's a 30 to 45 day freezing period. So I got lucky because I thought this was a long time ago because I did this a long time ago. Coinbase offered like $6 in Tezos. And so I did that. I recommend everybody do Coinbase Earn. That's free crypto. That's better than free money in my opinion. I did that offer months ago or whatever. And so the $6 in Tezos that I already had on Coinbase, because Coinbase Earn deposits to the Coinbase wallet, has already surpassed that 30-45 day period. And I've already started earning interest on it, which is, obviously not a lot. I'd love to pull this up, but I'm worried that there might be some revealing information here. I should have looked at this before. I'm so unprepared. Oh, holy crap, dudes. I've made like $2, or not $2, holy shit. I've made like 2 cents since this announcement. Let's see. If I can zoom this in enough, I think I can kind of hide any revealing information. Yeah, no, clearly not. Clearly not. Okay, there we go. No, come back. Come back. There we go. Here we go. Please don't look at anything else if there's any revealing information. But here is what's cool about this Tezos baking, is you can look at this and literally in real time it's updating. Like, I know it's insane decimals. That's like gaining Satoshis per second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, it's kind of like gaining Satoshis for a second. But, like, that's pretty damn satisfying, guys. It is kind of cool to look at this and be like, look, I'm gaining money. I've thrown the rest of my Tezos back into my Coinbase wallet from Coinbase Pro so that I can whatever stake them. I don't know. I've made 7 cents. It's just satisfying. It's like a cool idea. I know Coinbase is also offering some kind of interest on USDC. I want to say it's 10%, but I should have looked that up before. I think it's 10%. Staking is always a yearly reward. It's not a daily reward. It's not a weekly reward. Staking is not going to give you a Lambo tomorrow. Staking might beat out some other investments percentage-wise, but it's very dependent on the coin's performance. So it really goes down to like if you can stake many coins. Tezos didn't invent staking. I believe Dash maybe was the first stake coin. If it wasn't Dash, it was NXT. As far as I can remember back, that's so many years now. So they didn't invent this concept, but it is a pretty cool concept. Everybody loves being rewarded for nothing. You guys know that proof of stake is not really my jam. I do stake some coins, and it's honestly just not a hobby. It's a fun thing to do. I stake RDD, Red Coin. I don't really make any money off of it. I make some percent of like the nothing I have of it, but it's a hobby. It's interesting. It's cool to be like, oh look, I got free something. It's rewarding. It feels good. If you have proof of stake coins and you're not staking them, I recommend you look into it. It's entertaining. It's fun. It's like a hobby. It's worth doing. It's better than your coin sitting there making 0%. Something that is important though is to stick your coins on Coinbase, your Tezos. You are paying them for the pleasure of this. You are not making 100% of the rewards that you would have if you staked them yourselves, baked them yourselves, whatever they call it, stake bake. I think they take 2% of the rewards, and to my knowledge, that means if you get a 5% yearly return, they're taking 2% of that 5%, which boils down to like some tiny fraction of a percent. But it nonetheless is an important factor in your return and staking. Because you can stake any coin yourself as far as I'm concerned. You don't need Coinbase to do it. They just give you a fancy UI and it's kind of nice to look at. So, I don't know. I have like 50 or $100 of Tezos or something like that. Like, I like watching that number go up in real time. It's cool. It's satisfying. If you're a serious Tezos investor, don't do that. Go bake yourself. Go figure that out. Don't pay Coinbase to do it. But if you have like a few bucks in it, it's kind of satisfying, so screw it. It's okay. Coinbase has a great UI, and that's really what they offer in the crypto space is a great UI. So the third topic, and the most mysterious, and you'll soon find out that it's really not mysterious at all, as most mysteries, the December 16th conspiracy. It really is not a conspiracy at all. It's pretty factual. It's something I've observed, and you guys know I always like to share with you any unique observations that I have, the only qualifiers that I have not heard other sources, other YouTubes, other influencers, whatever. When I have not heard them bring up something that I find, I love to share it with you guys because hopefully that's something some of you find value in. So December 16th, what's the conspiracy? There isn't one, but there is some kind of connection to December 16th, at least in the last... crap, pulled the wrong one. I'm leaning over because I have my monitor set up all weird. Oh no. No. Okay. I have my monitor set up weird and this one's in front of the other one. So, what is the December 16th conspiracy? Here we go. Bum, 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 bum. Super dramatic. So, the all-time high of Bitcoin, December 16th, 2017. Everybody knows that. Something that's probably a little less known just because people aren't necessarily that observative is When was the most recent low from that all-time high? That most recent low was December 16th, 2018, exactly 1 year later. All-time high December 16th, 2017. Recent potential bottom of the bear market. I'm not here to argue at this point whether it is or not, but at least the lowest point of 2018 was December 16th. Yes. I'm looking at that and I'm thinking I'm crazy for a second. Exactly 1 year to the day from the all-time high. That's pretty crazy. 365 days later, highest point to lowest point potentially. I think that's more than a coincidence. So what's the conspiracy? The conspiracy is that we are now 3 days. Maybe even only 2 trading days at this point, because the daily close, I think, is past. Yeah. We are less than 3 days away from December 16th, 2019. So what does that mean? Who knows? Nobody knows. I wish I had something awesome to tell you guys. Like, that means it's gonna be amazing. Really, no. I don't really have anything here. There's very little compelling evidence. But what I think it does mean is likely we're gonna see some serious or at least significant price action between then and now. Between today and the 16th. And that's easy to say, but I'm going to back it up here with 2 pieces of statistical non-conspiracy data that we can look at. So what we have here on the books that we can use as hard evidence for some kind of, whatever, to back up this date is... So my first one is the CME. Wow, I really messed this up. Oh, God. I hope that the camera still looks alright with this angle. Anyway, CME on the 13th/12th, so within the last 24 hours, we have seen a 5,200 death cross. Coinbase and Bitstamp death crossed how many days ago? Over a month ago at this point. It was, I think you'll all remember exactly when it was. You probably don't remember that it was a death cross. October 25th. October 24th, 25th. So the last death cross on the spot exchanges was right here. Right before we did that ridiculous 4th largest pump in history. So here we are now with CME. And CME is about to do the same or just did the same. But the interesting part is, I think, CME is now closed. So CME closed on a death cross, and they will reopen on Monday. And guess what date Monday is? Of course, you guessed it. It is the 16th. So we have some, at least very related TA information, data, whatever you want to call it, evidence, on the 16th. So that would be my first argument. CME closed in a death cross on the daily, and now is going to reopen on the 16th. That is pretty interesting. There is nothing we can say with certainty that implies, whether it's up or down. Death crosses are usually bearish. They are a bearish signal. The last death cross we had on the daily, though, on Coinbase and Bitstamp, like I said, 4th largest rally in Bitcoin history. Not saying that's going to happen now, but what I'm saying is that the 16th is lining up to be a pretty interesting day. Like, weekend closing on CME, opening on the 16th. The 16th is the 2-year anniversary of the all-time high, and the 1-year anniversary of, so far at this point, is the bottom of the bear market. So the second piece, what else do we have here? Because one piece is never enough. It's only ever enough for anime. One piece, whatever. Insert one piece joke. So what's the other piece of evidence we have here that might suggest that the 16th is going to be a spicy time? So the other piece I would present here, and this is not quite as perfect as the CME close open. But mine would be the weekly 50-100 moving averages and what they're doing. So in 2015, we saw the weekly death cross. You can see that here on the chart. The weekly death cross essentially had signaled the bottom was over. And, in hindsight, this is easy to see. At the time, certainly that would be not something you should conclude from this, or it would logically make sense. But we can see looking back that the death cross of the 50 and 100 in 2015 signaled the bottom of the bear market was over and that a bull market was going to begin. We can see pretty much directly underneath it that we saw a large 231% rally and then a retrace of 41%. We can see that same death cross happened late February 2019, and we saw what is a pretty similar rally. You see these little green arrows up here. Certainly this year's was larger. It was like a 300 something percent, so that's significantly larger, significantly stronger rally. But it really, the bottom and where it ran from is right underneath that 5100 death cross. So what is interesting about the 16th here? Well, what's interesting is that we are seeing, just like we did in 2016, and in 2016 this was a signal of a continuation of that rally. Really, they had seen no higher high from the rally off of the death cross until the golden cross of the 150. They'd seen no higher high. They'd seen just selling. They had seen mostly sideways price action. I don't know if that sounds familiar. I'll let you guys draw the conclusions. But that golden cross, in hindsight, was the trigger to the continuation of what became the steeper parabolic curve, the steeper bull run curve. So here it is. This is on the daily, and a lot of people will probably argue with me here. I love displaying longer time frames, moving averages on lower time frames. You guys have probably noticed that. I love doing it because, in my opinion, it's a more accurate look at a longer time frames moving average. So this is not wizardry or witchcraft. This is simply, so we see the 50 is the yellow, the blue is the 100 weekly, and the way that's accomplished is, so 1 day times 7, 7 days in a week. So instead of the 100 moving average, it's the 700 moving average, because that would be the weekly on the daily. And the 350, which is half of that, makes the 50 weekly. And if you flip back and forth, you'll see that these are the same moving averages. They are exactly the same, essentially. They're so close that it would be dumb to argue otherwise. But what happens is on the daily is you get to see it update in real time. You get to see it update every day, not every weekly close. So I like to use these. I welcome any kind of argument against them. That's fine. I'll admit they aren't perfect, but we have seen this same bullish cross. It is the 12th, meaning the next weekly will be on the 19th. So we are seeing this 5100, which in 2016 was a very bullish sign. We are seeing that this week, essentially. At first, I had thought that this cross would actually hold off a little bit to like the 13th. This seemed to happen a little earlier. But I'm not really going to draw conclusions from this because this is 2 daily candles. It's really just 1 point, like 1 daily candles. But it crossed and now we're seeing green. If that continues, I think it's safe to say that maybe we're seeing a repeat of the 2016 cross. This is really the whole point here is we're seeing what potentially could be a pattern. This is what TA gives us. TA doesn't give us answers. TA gives us possibilities. We saw, and it even kind of looks similar. If you look at just eyeing it, it kind of looks similar. The death cross, I guess this golden cross is higher than the death cross was here. There's many ways to kind of differentiate this, but those are my 2 pieces of evidence. We have a golden weekly cross, which in the last how many years, the last like entire existence of Bitcoin has really only happened. We've had like one, potentially two death crosses and golden crosses on the 50, 100 weekly. It's not an event that happens often. Looking back at the most recent one, it was an event that was very important. Actually, both the death and golden. They were very important to the moving forward, what was going to happen afterwards. I mean, fingers crossed, that's what's going to happen now, but there's no way to know. So that's the December 16th conspiracy, buds. Adding on a little just kind of like topical piece is December 16th is halfway through the month of December, which is the last month in the yearly candle. If you look back in Bitcoin's history, on average, the big moves honestly only happen at like one of 3 times. It's the beginning of the month, the end of the month, and middle of the month. And I know that's generalizing, but really it's like 1st through 3rd, 14th to 16th, and like 29th to 31st. It's like Bitcoin loves to move at the end, in the beginning, and right just smack dab in the middle of these monthly candles. Oh man, what is happening? Oh, 215 minute. Okay. Oh geez. Okay. So yeah, that is my conspiracy. I'm presenting that to the internet to like run with it, take what they want to do with it. I don't know. But I would imagine the 16th is going to be an eventful time. We had an all-time high. A year later, kind of what could be, if we look back in enough hindsight, the all-time low. And so now we're a year again on that anniversary. What's going to happen on the 16th? I'm ready to find out. I'm going to watch. I'm going to be here. I'm excited because I think that we've seen 22 days of sideways, and I'm ready to break that. And at this point, I don't give a shit if it's up or down. Let's just break that. There's clearly like it's a lot of macro elements to this time period. Maybe this week, this weekly candle. So I think it's safe to say that we'll see something. So going off that, it's been boring. Really, since the last video, there's not a lot to say, guys. I hate to say it. People ask me every day, like, are we going up or down now? And dude, I wish I had an answer for you, but we haven't gone anywhere. We haven't broken any significant pivot highs or pivot lows. We've really just been doing a really boring dance, and I hate it, but I can't produce new conclusions with the same information. We do have locally a pretty rounded bottom. That could be a potential for what is at least a short-term reversal. Might stop out at like 7.4, and then maybe we'll have that same kind of smoothing down. Without new information, there's really no new conclusions to draw, at least in the Tom Crown book. So outside of price action, maybe there's 2 things I can talk about that may have changed since the last video. We're not seeing it in price action, but I think there are 2 things worth mentioning. Especially today, I think it's been a popular topic, is longs, margin positions, longs versus shorts. And we are seeing, they have leveled off in the last few hours, but longs are growing. Longs have been in superiority pretty much all day. I think for the majority of the day, every margin exchange has been superiority longs. I think briefly Binance had maybe for like an hour superiority shorts, but it was like 50.5 to 50.4, like very, very slim margin. I said this in a video a while ago. I am skeptical on Bitfinex. Bitfinex seems to have been smoking crack all year. They have been 80% long for months. Just months and months. They've been 80% long. And really, I think it was before the July-August rise to 14K. And then all the way down. Like all the way down to 6,500. They've been 80% long. And I cannot explain that. So I've had suspicions that maybe Bitfinex is misrepresenting their positions. Maybe not. Maybe, I don't know, for whatever reason, people are nuts on longs in Bitfinex. It doesn't seem to be mirroring the rest of the market, and to me it's confusing. It doesn't really add up. Without Bitfinex, the long to short ratio would be much more even. Bitfinex is kind of like the little extra weight you add on a scale to one side when it's balanced and it just tips. But today they have like a real possibility of hitting 90% long, which doesn't make any sense. Like, from an investing point of view, an exchange cannot be 90% long. It's ridiculous. They're not hedged. They are 9-1 in a direction. So I hate to say this because you guys know I'm always bullish. I never expect to see price move in the direction of a margin superiority, because that's what we've seen. We've seen it, like, it kind of seems to always want to wreck the majority of margin positions. So I cannot interpret this as bullish as much as I'd like to. I guess there's a possibility that all these whales are collaborating and, man, they're all going long, and that they've put aside enough, dry powder or fiat to, like, market buy, us to the moon, and then they'll close their long positions. I'm really not going to bet on that. Usually the market seems to go against it. But there are two ways to close these long positions, and I think this is a kind of an interesting aspect people don't talk about. Is one, obviously, price can be pushed down, and that closes longs through liquidation, or price can be moved up slowly but without kind of confidence, and that will cause longs to close in profit. They will close them because they said, I'm taking my profit. I think that is possible here. Almost everyone in chat has a price they're looking for. Man, I need 8.3, I need 9.1, I need whatever it is. Everyone kind of has a price at the moment they're looking to get out. And so a strong pump would potentially close a lot of these longs. A big candle like we saw on the 25th, we could see maybe the majority of these longs close in profit, which could allow for continuation. But that is not my first thought. My first thought is the market hates margin and it's going to push against it. So, not saying that this is bullish. I think that long superiority is bearish in general. Yeah, that blows. And so the only other non-price action related thing I have to talk about today is something that you probably won't hear, mostly because you can't, or these people aren't going to share it because there's not many. So this is something you might only really be able to see in depth from someone you trust or whatever. I have access to YouTube analytics, and YouTube analytics are very detailed. They don't give me any details about an individual. Like, I don't know where you're from or what you're doing or, anything about you as an individual. But as a group, I have a lot of data, like a creepy amount of data. It tells me ages. It tells, age demographics, sex demographics, geographical locations. It gives me very detailed data. And what I can tell you guys that you probably won't hear elsewhere is that, you may have noticed, but interest in crypto is very low right now. That doesn't really mean what I think people would assume it means. It means that people aren't logging on right now to look at price. People aren't thinking about Bitcoin as much as they usually do. And so, unlike the margin position I was talking about earlier, this I actually do see potentially as bullish. I know that's counterintuitive, but so is superiority long being bearish. That is counterintuitive as well. If the market is confident it's going up, they're putting margin longs. I'm saying that probably means it goes down. That's counterintuitive. Well, so is this. I have noticed, and this is clearly not an original thought of mine, but I think the application is the market cycle of Bitcoin seems to be maybe a little different than the traditional market cycle. I think that cycle goes euphoria or excitement, and then it goes to fear. And from fear is like a long cycle. And we've seen that. We've seen the green fear indicator be low forever. But I think there's one more step there that people miss, and I think that is boredom. It sounds dumb, but I think it's just complete loss of interest. Bitcoin seems to wait for people to be bored. Like, it's not enough for you to be scared and sell. It's not enough for you to think Bitcoin's dead. It's like Bitcoin needs to convince you it's boring. It needs to convince you that it's not going to be exciting again. Maybe that's part of hopelessness, whatever. But I really think boredom is the right word. For those of you guys who are like Elliott Wave fans, I'm not an Elliott Wave fan, but for those of you who are, you're probably familiar with the C wave. The C wave is characterized by lots of sideways, and I think you can argue that means boring price action. I think a C wave is boredom. And so I think that is the final aspect. This is the final stage in a cycle before it restarts and before it goes back to excitement. Bitcoin doesn't like people watching it. It's like very shy. It's weird. It's a shy thing. It likes to move when no one's watching. And as soon as people start watching, it stops. It likes to reverse. It likes to stop. We saw it at I would say arguably 7, probably better, like 8 to 9, and then to 14K. Bam, huge excitement. People are talking about it. All of a sudden, people are jumping back in, and it just freezes, and it says, "Whoa, holy shit!" Too many people are watching me. Some of you guys probably remember I said this. This was like right when the channel started, so probably nobody really remembers this. I said, "Holy shit, Bitcoin is bullish again. This is insane." And my first thought was, how is it ever going to convince people it's not bullish? Like, how is it ever going to convince them to be bored? Like, this is crazy. There's no way anybody will like lose interest in this now. We're up 250% in, I don't know, a month, like 2 months. It's magic, man. It is an ultimate study of psychology. And I hope that means some bullish future ahead. We're closing this yearly candle in 3 weeks-ish, and it's gonna close green. 2019 is going to be a green yearly candle. You guys can go ahead, look back, put your charts on 12-month or 1 year, see what happens. See if there's ever been a yearly green candle. Just one, by itself. Go ahead, take a look. You don't have to right now. You can pause this video if you're watching it from the future. But just really know how it operates. I would say it's successfully made everybody lose hope and quit. Not everybody, but goddamn, we had 40 people starting. I don't even know how many there are in the chat now. But viewership is really low on YouTube right now. I've been watching other YouTubers, mostly just watching to see how many viewers they have. Their numbers are low. Crypto, Twitter, I have never seen so dead. Dude, even at 3K, it wasn't so dead. There are more people tweeting about Bitcoin at 3K than there are right now. Like, it is a ghost town. So is it fair to say we're in boredom phase or whatever that is? Yes. Can we say it's over? No, not yet. We need to see a higher high. Look back at the last videos, we talked about kind of the price values we need to be at to confirm an uptrend again. We aren't there yet. Could be, the 16th could be a good day or a big day. I think that we could potentially see a higher high or a lower low on the 16th. So I think that's something to pay attention to. Really, I think that's it, guys. Like, I somehow created this big, long video out of a bunch of nothing. Oh, I had one more thing. So, unrelated to all of it directly, bunch of videos back, I think this was late September, I was talking about the Fed. Because the Fed had just started to kind of dick around with the concept of repo and not quantitative easing. It's not quantitative easing. It's repo and rate cuts and, whatever other name they want to call it. So all those months ago, I said, guys, just because they're starting this repo injection or whatever does not mean Bitcoin's going to move. I said, something that I'm going to love this quote, I feel like, for years now is, but what I think you should be weary of, because at the time they said, we're going to do XYZ repo injection, and I think the date was like October 11th. And they're like, and after October 11th, we're done because we'll have fixed the problem. And I was like, guys, that's not going to fix the problem. What we need to be looking at is come October 11th, or, fact check me, somebody, but like come October 11th, if they aren't done, it's time to start paying attention, because now it's just a straight out bullshit. It was clearly just misdirection, trying to deceive you into thinking a problem wasn't a problem. And guess what, guys? Here we are. It is December 12th, and none of that has stopped. Repo, your indice fanboys are gonna say, "Oh, well, repo is repaid the next day, so it's not actually quantitative easing." Blah blah blah. Yeah, that would be true on paper, but this repo market is not being repaid. You don't have to believe me. Go look up the Fed sheet. Look it up right now. If repo is being repaid every day as it's supposed to be, the balance sheet would not be going up. It has been going up since September because it's not being repaid, because it is quantitative easing. It's just injecting money. It's injecting liquidity. And now we're hearing, I didn't have enough time to even find this source, but now we're hearing of a big liquidity end of year injection. I thought it was 500 billion, but then I saw another article right before I started. I think it was 350. Quantitative easing is what Bitcoin was built for. Hyperinflation was the reason. It was to hedge against hyperinflation in currencies and fiat. There's isn't really, there's really no TA signs that are saying, go bull on Bitcoin. I have to admit that. We talked about some things, but mostly things aren't looking so bullish. But Bitcoin is entering the environment it was created for. The environment that Satoshi was like, banks are getting bailed out again. I'm going to drop this bomb on everybody because this is bullshit. Banks shouldn't just be able to bail themselves out. Shouldn't be able to just print money. And, printing money is just stealing money from everyone who has that currency at the time. I'm not going to get into that. But yeah, we are still here. This is months later. And just as I kind of suggested, we're still doing repo, we're still doing injection, and that repo is not being paid back. The media is not reporting on this from as far as I've seen. I've talked to people, and they're like, what do you mean the Fed's doing repo injection, repo or injections? And I was like, you don't know about this? No. Nobody but us knows about this. And probably other market people do, but as far as anyone's concerned, if they know about it, it's getting repaid the next day, and no, it is not. Look at the balance sheets. So this is not a short-term moon signal, but this is definitely hopium on the horizon, guys. Every dollar that's printed, even traditional markets usually don't see an impact from quantitative easing for 6 months to 12 months out. So there's no reason to expect to see really any change in Bitcoin and in the markets from it. But there is maybe 6 months, 12 months out from here. You may see changes in the traditional markets, and may see changes in Bitcoin based on the dollar being printed, the dollar inflating. All Bitcoin has to do is literally stay sideways. In a hyperinflationary event, is stay sideways. Not price-wise, but value-wise. In our minds, if Bitcoin remains the same value, and the currencies that we buy it with hyperinflate, Bitcoin's value goes up. In a hyperinflationary event, it's really about it's when everything's losing value. This is a better way to put it. When everything's losing value, which is the opposite. But what's important is what's losing value the slowest. And so my bet, not financial advice, but my bet is that Bitcoin is going to lose value slower than other traditional assets. We're not seeing it yet. Hopefully we do soon. I'm going to be looking forward to the 16th, and I'll be watching. I've turned way too much time into this. I thought I was going to not have anything to say. Fresco, this is the first thing I've read in the chat. how much is a silver dollar? And the answer is 99% less from when the silver dollar was first minted, basically. So, bam, gadam. Let's all have a good Friday night. Hashtag there is no Earth. Hashtag yes moon. Hashtag maybe Mars. I don't know. Guys, I think tonight's a good night. I was hoping today would be exciting, but it doesn't seem to be. So maybe that's the 16th coming up. Everybody go have fun. Go enjoy life. Bitcoin's going to catch up with us eventually. You know, who knows when that'll be. Hopefully soon, knock on wood. But I love you, fam. I'm going to absolutely go have some fun myself now. Did not expect this to be 50 minutes. So I'm going to end it now. I love y'all. Like and subscribe. Don't even need to say that because nobody's going to make it to the end of this video. I'll talk to you guys later.